Shamanism in the 21st century is really about reclaiming our connection to the unseen reality. Carlos Castaneda calls this non-ordinary reality. And it's basically this reality that we can access using drumming or rattling. So by using drumming and rattling, we enter into a mild state of ecstasy or trance, and we're seeing with the heart. And through seeing with the heart, we're able to interact with the other reality and meet healing, compassionate spirits. And as we meet healing, compassionate spirits, we can ask them for advice, and it can also bring us healing. And it is a path of knowledge, and it is a self-empowerment path. And once somebody knows how to connect, then they can learn themselves what it is for them, that their connection to the spirit world, their connection to this spiritual power.
It's been a lot of learning about my own sense of inner power, how to be empowered, how to feel empowered, and how to connect with spirit and spirit helpers to create that inner sense of power to keep me strong, while also being sensitive and open.
I would really highlight the power that will come back into their life should they choose to take that path. And so through doing this work, I feel like those parts of me have been returned for the most part, and then the power that has come with them, I feel actually more full and more alive and more aware.
Once they have that connection, they can use that power and that the information that they receive and the healing that they receive in their daily life to bring about transformation, to bring about change, to bring about healing, and to bring about wholeness.
And it makes us more effective in our everyday lives. It makes us more effective as healers. It makes us more effective just as people.
If I had to describe shamanism, I would describe it as a thorough understanding of the flow of energy through the universe. I see it as a way of communicating with spirits. I see it as a way of healing your soul, yourself, and others.
There are two things that we do in shamanic healing. One is we restore power, and the other is we remove spiritual intrusions. In the one-year program, what people learn is core shamanism. So they learn the basic skills of the shamanic journey, the extraction, the soul retrieval, the power animal retrieval, and cycle pump.
It's really broken up in such a way. I really like how Danielle has it, by being able to do each intensive weekends. Then you have an opportunity to follow through. There's reading, there's different practical experiences that we have. And then most importantly, we get a chance to touch base with each other. So we're on a Facebook private page or group that we get to exchange with each other. And most importantly, Danielle has always been available. And I really like that. So you have a question, or you're not sure about something, or again, the ego kicks in and says, oh, maybe I didn't do this right. He's there sort of as that buffer and that guidance, which I found really helpful.
I really enjoyed my group and Daniel and the community that came from that. It definitely feels like a family because you share a lot of intimate moments together, and I really appreciated how Daniel held space.
And you feel that there's a safety there, and he generates this feeling of peace and love and stuff like that, and just this safe place for you to just express what you are and to bring it out so it can be healed.
The space feels very special in that it feels sacred, but at the same time very down to earth and comfortable. So it feels like something very special is happening, but it's also not so formal or off in the clouds that we can't just relax and have a good time and just enjoy each other's company.
I try to, even though shamanism is a mystical topic and there's a lot to know about it, I try to demystify the process of connecting with this other reality. And the way we do that is I try to connect the dots for people. So we teach the skills, we go on retreats and we learn the skills, and then we see the impact of the work in our daily life?
There were a lot of things I enjoyed, but the thing I definitely enjoyed most were the retreats that we went on. It was beautiful being up in natural country near the woods and just being with the other students and with Daniel and learning everything from the program while being out of the city. It just felt really special.
He's going to tell us, yes, this is how you journey. This is how you do an extraction. This is how you drum to put the power back in. But he's also saying how it looks in real life.
This is what I try to connect with the students is, when you do this, this happens. So we make that connection, we connect the dots, and so people come to the retreat or to the trainings, and then they experience certain things that occur in their lives, and then we have discussions about, how that is connected to the work that was done. And in that, people are able to make that conscious effort in when they're working with their spirit helpers to make changes in their lives. One of the biggest things that we learn about in the program that I really focus on is soul retrieval. Soul retrieval is a skill, and people learn it over the course of several days. And basically, soul retrieval is a process of re-empowerment. And we can't really talk about soul retrieval without speaking about soul loss. So, soul loss is a natural occurrence that happens as a result of a person experiencing trauma. So when we have something traumatic, and it can be as early as 1-year-old, a 2-year-old, Sandra Ingerman says that our most significant soul loss often occurs before the age of 3, and then we end up spending the rest of our lives trying to piece ourselves together. So soul loss is really a process of protection. It's basically a dissociation from the body, like basically our energy dissociates from the body in order to withstand a difficult situation. Soul loss is a good occurrence in itself, but the problem is the soul doesn't know how to find its way back into the body after it leaves. So as a result, if we haven't grown up in the culture where this is recognized, we spend the rest of our lives trying to mend ourselves, and that's where soul retrieval comes in. Soul retrieval is this process of reclaiming that power, those pieces that have left as a result of trauma. We go back and we bring those back and we bring them home and bring them back to the body. People experience wholeness within themselves. What that does is that it starts to get mirrored in their environment. So they have better luck, they have more wholesome relationships, they make better decisions for themselves.
Having had parts of myself returned through soul retrieval, having things removed from my whole being, as it were, through extractions, and then also having like a power animal brought to me, someone who's going to like help me in my life. I feel those presences, but also I have actually become more in my body. So I've actually made a connection with myself because it's not a scary place to be anymore.
A lot of what people experience when they have had a lot of soul loss is that they feel disconnected. They feel completely dissociated. So the process of soul retrieval really heals that and brings that back.
Daniel did a soul retrieval for me. He brought back 3 soul pieces. And I remember leaving that weekend feeling like I was back in my body. I was whole. I had this new power inside me and drive to... It felt as though the pieces that were missing had come back, and that I knew that this is something I needed to learn more about. I needed to learn about how can I bring more of these pieces, soul pieces, back into me, and how to make myself whole again.
And so through the process of soul retrieval, people are able to reclaim their power. So I teach people how to do that with each other, and then they can use the skills to do it with other people. And they actually have to practice with people in their circle as homework.
Each of those weekends, and very intensive weekends, you walk away, you have an opportunity to do both the theory and the practical, which I like both. And so you get an opportunity then to go away and then experience that, try that with different people in your own life.
The interesting thing about it is that it seems to happen between all those weekends as well. So even though the group is coming together during these times, the work that's done continues on through your life, through that entire year, and beyond.
They also learn how to do power animal retrieval. Through the process of the power animal retrieval, a person is able to receive a source of power, of energy that can help them in their lives. It can help protect them, it can help guide them, and can also help heal them.
The whole course was one which I really loved. You'd have an opportunity for an intensive weekend, then you would go away with homework. So it was everything from soul retrievals to being able to establish who the individual's power helper or power animal was or spirit helper was. That, to me, I have to say, was one of the big highlights for me.
I endeavor to teach people how to really be present, how to be in their body, and how to deal with what comes up as a result of the work that we do. So the emotional stuff that occurs, I help people connect with those pieces and release them.
We're always encouraged to come and like reside in the belly, like to ground and be present. And so in doing so, I'm actually getting more in touch with what the messages are in my intuitive brain, as it were, and actually trusting them and following them.
I think it needs to be spread out. Like, I think it needs to be taught so that many, many people know these skills so that they're not forgotten. Right? In my program, I try to connect how learning those skills and applying them to doing healing for the land, healing for the environment, healing for themselves, the participants, and the people around them, how that has an impact. You know, like, we don't always know how it has an impact on other people and on the land, but if we pay attention and we do the work, we can see a change. You know, sometimes that change is small and incremental, but it does bring a transformation.
My favorite part is journeying because it is, I don't know, it's just so wonderful. I just, you get in with the vibration of the drums. You connect with your spirit helpers, your power animals, you get guidance, you connect with your teachers, so you learn on another level.
So one of the things that people will basically master in a one-year program as a result of learning the other skills, they will really get a good handle on how to do shamanic journeying. Shamanic journeying is a very simple method where, using percussion, like rattling or drumming, people are able to enter a deep meditative state. In that deep meditative state, people are able to experience visions and interact with their power animals, their spirit helpers, their spirit guides, who will offer them healing energy, advice, and power. Now, this process, there are other ways of accessing this reality where you can use ayahuasca and peyote and other substances. But the way I teach it is with percussion. So in the course, I will drum for people for 10-15 minutes, and they go on a shamanic journey. And I also, teach them about the general landscape of the other world, so they know how to navigate those different areas. And this process is done in a very safe environment, and people get to experience the healing, compassion, energy that is accessible to them. And it can be really phenomenal, people's reactions. Like, people go into a journey and they think, oh, whatever, I'm going to meet this power animal. And then they go into the journey, and then they experience this feeling of love and compassion that they've never experienced anywhere else in their lives, right? So that's the potential of the work. And people do connect with that.
I think that one of the reasons why this works, or why the course has actually changed things for me, is because of his style of teaching. So automatically, by being transparent and vulnerable as a leader, he's able to make a comfortable space for people to bring their whole selves to the process.
Shamanic healing has transformed my life. Like, it really has, from a deep, deep, deep place. I was a very wounded young adult when I discovered this. And it's through this process of basically what I would call my healing and my empowerment that I came to a place of realizations of how powerful and how healing these methods and this connection with the unseen reality can be. It was really after maybe 10 years of practice that I started to feel a calling. And I really started to think, I think it's time for me to share what I've experienced with this wonderful healing method. And how it started to show up is I started to find hawk feathers. I would go on my walks with my dogs, and the first time it happened, I was walking down the woods, and all of a sudden there was a hawk feather on the path. And I thought, oh wow, this is a beautiful thing. So I picked up the hawk feather and went on my way. And then a few days later, I was on the path in a similar area, and this time the feather was planted in the ground. It was standing up. And I thought, wow, okay, that's interesting. In the same week, So I picked up the feather, and I started to think, okay, the spirit world is starting to send me a message, And then a few days later, I was walking in the woods, and there was a hawk at ground level, and then it flew off. And then I walked a little further, and I looked up in the trees, and there was 5 of them, and they were all moving around in the trees, and they weren't bothered by my presence. And so then I really thought, okay, there's something to this, and I need to listen. And then it was maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks later, I sat down and I started to write my course. And that's when I really felt like I was being called to continue this tradition that Senator Ingerman has started and continues to do by teaching all over the world those shamanic skills, and Michael Harner and Hank Wesselman and a handful of other people who have really spread this work. It's from that place of personal experience that I teach people. And I want people to have that same connection where they can be self-reliant and self-empowered and not have to rely on me or anyone else to find their own truth.
But he also has an understanding of where people are coming from and what might be getting in their way. So if people are having a difficult time grasping something, then he also has a story from his own experience to demonstrate or to illustrate what you might be dealing with or what might be getting in your way. And he also is very straightforward. So if someone is sharing something and they're really having a difficult time figuring how one thing connects to another, he has no difficulty going through the nonsense and just being like, what about this? Or have you thought of that? And just like, it's not beating around the bush, it's very get right in there. So I have a lot of respect for that.
It's all about healing and just really connecting with, like I said, your inner strength and your inner power and ability to sort of walk a path of balance where you can be in your light and also be aware of your shadow and how it's influencing you in your life.
I've seen a good model of what it looks like to sit with your dark side. So Danielle, for me, is a teacher that's not afraid to say, like, I have a darkness and I meet with my darkness every day, and this is what we do and this is how we navigate, and it's not so scary because I have. And so watching that or hearing that, I'm able to practice that for myself.
Yes, you have to learn the skills, but the more important things is you have to nurture your connection to the spirit helpers. And this is what basically the essence of the 1 year is. I really, through learning the skills and the shamanic journey and the guidance that I offer people, is to nurture that connection so it's nice and strong,
It brought me to a point where I felt this tremendous transformation in myself and this interconnectedness of my own spirit with that of Source and with all of the other people that were around me. There was this feeling of connection.
It's a very humbling experience to, have all these people come and listen to what the spirit helpers have to say.
I had also taken workshops at another shamanism school, and I had gone to an open house for another shamanism school, but I really liked that. I just liked Daniel's energy, and it just felt like the right fit for me. I really felt like a sense of trust with him. And whereas with the other schools, they were a lot bigger, and it just felt like I was lost in a number of students.
People come to nurture a connection with themselves and a connection with the greater universe, life, if you will. What I watch occur is these moments where people connect with their helpers and they give them information and they have these realizations, and it's really a self-empowered process, right? And it's a process of transformation, and everybody is different. Some people experience transformation in their personal relationships. Some people experience transformations in their own way of coming to life. Some people experience transformations in their families. Some people find a new path in life as a result of connecting with this power, this unseen reality, and receiving this guidance and this healing from the spirit helpers. And it's not that everybody who comes to the program becomes a shamanic practitioner. People come and they experience re-empowerment, and then that might lead them into another purposeful direction in their lives, right? But I think what the spirits do is that they really empower people to come to whatever they're here to do with much more power and much more intent and much more energy. And in that process, there's some sort of inner guidance that starts to develop more and more strongly. And some of that doesn't occur in a linear process, The spirits work with us, and all of a sudden they'll bring us events or things, and they'll make things happen so that we come to that place, So sometimes they kind of force us into those directions, right? But and with humor too.
I think it's just a matter of like the container that he provides for the learning actually invites people to drop down to a place where you normally wouldn't go if you just took a course online, or if you just like Googled it and tried it yourself. You're making connections with yourself, you're making connections with other people in the group, and you're making an authentic connection with him.
It's a self-empowerment process. I'm not in charge of the process. I hold a container and I guide, I'm basically a guide, and I give them the teachings for the skills and so on, and share my personal experience, but they are the ones who do the work with the spirit helpers and do their own healing and walk through their doorway of self-empowerment. And the thing about shamanic healing, nobody can teach you how to be a shamanic practitioner. It's something that, yes, you can learn the skills, but it's really something that your spirit helpers teach you. It's not something that you can read a book about it, but it's experiential, and it's a path of knowledge. So when people get to learn the skills of the shamanic journey, and they learn the shamanic healing skills, then they go beyond that. And beyond that is that learning what it is for themselves. And that's what it's called a path of self-empowerment. It's this path where people find their own answers. It's not somebody up in authority who's giving them the answers. They go and find their own answers.
Shamanism is the answer to bring people back into wholeness.
Shamanism is who we are. It's nature. It's the connection to all that is. And that's why when people experience these journeys, they can sometimes experience this feeling of oneness, because that's what we do. When you go into these journeys, you're one with the universe, right?
I would recommend this program for anyone seeking a deeper relationship to themselves and to deepen their relationship with their own spirit helpers, spirit guides, which is wonderful and empowering. And I would also recommend it for anyone who wishes to heal on a deeper level, but also to transform their life.
It is life-changing. You will discover more things about yourself, and you'll heal those wounds that you've always wanted to heal. And you'll come out of this course so much stronger than you came in.
I don't think anything can stay the same if you undergo this training, which is a good thing and wonderful. But it's definitely, I'd say, a major component of doing this work is that things will change. So being open to change.
Hey,